Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Matson. Today we're going to be converting fractions into decimals. So let's get going. What do fractions and decimals have to do with transformers? Well, they're the same thing, they just look different. Decimals and fractions are the exact same. I can't even remember what this transformer is. It's not Bumblebee. Whatever this transformer's name is, and usually if I was teaching this in class, you would all shout it out for me, and I'd be like, yeah, him. But you're not in front of me. So decimals and fractions are like transformers. One has like the automobile, the vehicle form. One is in like the massive battle bot, right? So when you see a fraction, know that it can change to a decimal. When you see a decimal, know that it can transform into a fraction. Okay, that's what the whole thing was about. So here we have 2 and 4/10. We are going to transform that into a decimal. How do we do that? I want you to think of place value. I want you to say the number, which was 2 and 4/10, and then I want you to write 2 and 4/10. Okay, so if I said 2 and 4/10, yes, I could write it 2 and 4/10, but I could also write it 2 and 4/10. Is that not the same thing? Yeah, this is the little vehicle guy. This is like the BattleBot guy. It's the exact same amount and exact same value. Okay, and then the last thing we always do with fractions is we look for a common factor and we simplify it. So 2 and 4/10 is the same as 2 and 2/5. Kind of cool. They do look a little bit different, but they also look a little bit alike, right? Just like our transformers there. So let's practice that with some other ones. We're going to say it the math way, right? Not just 0.5. We're going to say 5/10. Then we're going to write it. Then we're going to simplify it. So this is 5/10. We're going to write 5/10 this way. And then we're going to find something to simplify. If we can't figure out a number to simplify, then one trick that you now know is to birthday cake it. That will pull out a common factor. And that's what we need to simplify fractions, is we need to divide it by the same factor, a common factor that both the numerator and the denominator share. So with 5 and 10, I could pull out a 5, can't I? Now the cool thing about the birthday cake is that it will also give us the two numbers that we need, or that we're going to end up using. And watch, when I divide both of those by 5, I end up with 1/2, which is what I had down here. So there's a plug for the birthday cake way. It's pretty sweet. Do you kind of feel gypped that no teacher before me ever taught it to you? You should kind of feel gypped. I'm okay if you like go back to them and be like, hey, what were you thinking? Why didn't you teach us this? Okay, no, don't do that. They're awesome. All right, let's do the same thing with this number right here. It is 1.25, right? But if we set it the correct way, we would say 1 and 25/100. So if we were to write that now, 1 and 25/100. And now that we've written it, we just need to simplify it. Again, if we put 25 and 100 in a birthday cake, we could pull out a 5. Yeah, because they both end in a 5 and a 0, right? That would give us 5 and 20. Well, you would see again, they end in a 5 and a 0, so we can pull out another 5, which would be 1 and 4. So we know that a common factor, the greatest common factor between both of those, is 25. So when I divide both of those by 25, I get 1/4. And then I still have this one whole in front of it. So we're not changing whole numbers in front. We're only changing the fraction or the decimal that's behind it. The whole numbers don't change, just the fractions do. Cool, huh? All right, so remember that if there is just one number behind the decimal, you're gonna put it in the 10th place. If it's two numbers, you'll say 45/100. If there's three numbers, you'll end up saying 456 thousandths. And that's how that number looks. So this whole number is actually 2 and 456 thousandths. Okay, I don't think you'll see anything in the thousands place today, so don't worry about it, but just know that that's how it works. Okay, so if we see this, what is it? Yeah, it is 3/10. Did you try to simplify that and you found out that the only thing that they have in common is 1? That's when you know it's already in simplest form. Cool, huh? All right, what about this? 8.6. I said 0.6 because I want to see if you can write it correctly. Did you keep the 8 and 8? You should, because it's still a whole number. 8 doesn't change. The only thing we're changing are the decimals. So it's 8 and 6/10. I know 6 and 10 are both even, so I know that I can divide them both by 2, which will give me 4/5. And then I'm going to put that 8 in front of it. And I just found out that 8.6, 8 and 6/10, is the exact same thing as 8 and 4/5. So cool. Here's one more trick for you. If there is one number behind the decimal, then there's going to be 1 0 in your answer. If there are 2 numbers behind the decimal, you are going to have 2 zeros. Get what I'm going here? There are 3 numbers behind the decimal. That means that the last number is in the thousandths place, and that is what your fraction will have. Kind of cool trick for you there. All right, so I'm going to pause it again, and I want you to do these on your whiteboard to see if you have them correct. And then you can push play and see, right? So 3 and 4/10 can be simplified to 3 and 1/5. 5 and 25/100 can be simplified to 5 and 1/4. How did you do? All right, so remember that if you have a big tall fraction like 1/2, it can actually be transformed into a decimal like 0.5 and vice versa. In another video, I'm going to show you how to do the opposite of what we did. So I'll catch you in that video. See you later.